So, we have reached the end of the 2020 regular season as the Milwaukee Brewers went an MLB best 105-57 on the year so far. We, of course, led the NL Central. We were kind of in a race going into the All-Star break against the Reds for the division lead, but coming out, we just dominated and took over. Nobody else in the division really had a chance. The Cubs weren't that great this season. The Pirates and the Cardinals both sucked as well. As far as the rest of the National League is concerned, starting with the NL West, the Dodgers won their division. The Rockies actually contending for a wild card spot. They'll be taking on the Reds in the wild card game, and then the rest of that division didn't do all that great. As for the American League, the Yankees dominated their division with a 96-66 record. The Rays just couldn't get back to their playoff contention, and shout out to the old Blue Jays franchise as the Blue Jays went league average. As for the AL Central, this is pretty crazy. 3 90-win teams in the Indians, Twins, and White Sox. The Indians and Twins both also almost having 100-win seasons. Great for them. The Twins and the White Sox, of course, lock up their wild card spots. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how that plays out. As for the AL West, the Astros, despite losing Garrett Cole and despite the controversy at the start of the season, they still win over 100 games. And just to give you an idea of how good the AL Central was, the Athletics and the Rangers both had really good years and couldn't even contend for the wild card. And then, of course, the last National League division, the NL East, the Nationals win 100 games, the Braves had a really bad year, and the Phillies had another disappointing season. On to the awards now, as we see Christian Yelich, of course, as I wanted all along. He wins the MVP with 51 ding-dongs, 130 RBIs, and a .334 batting average. As for the Cy Young, Steven Strasburg, it seems the pitching led the way for the Nationals here with a 2.7 ERA and 239 strikeouts on the year. Had a much better season than even Jacob deGrom of the Nationals. As the Reliever of the Year award, Sean Doolittle with a 1.8 ERA and 54 saves on this year. Sadly, Josh Hader couldn't come back and get his three-peat on that award. But once again, Sean Doolittle and that Nationals pitching staff was amazing. As for the Rookie of the Year, Shogo Akiyama walks away with that one. 25 home runs, 74 RBIs with a .312 batting average leading off for the Reds. And then just some other throw-in awards I ought to mention. Christian Yelich has gotten another Hank Aaron Award and another Silver Slugger Award for the outfield. Looking at the AL MVP now, Mike Trout walks away with the back-to-back MVPs in the American League. Yelich actually had a bit of a better year than he did, at least given those stats, which is pretty crazy. The Cy Young winner was Garrett Cole, as Yankees just dominated the Cy Young voting this year, but good to see Garrett Cole getting his award with 268 strikeouts. That's just insane. And then the Reliever of the Year, Brad Hand. Brad Hand had a 1.3 ERA, which is pretty crazy for the American League, with 48 saves on the year so far. Aroldis Chapman, the winner of last year's Reliever of the Year, just couldn't follow up. He had a really bad season. And then the Rookie of the Year in the American League, Yoshi, won it for the Rays. 36 home runs, 104 RBIs. Those are at least some MVP shortlist type of numbers. And now, I didn't want to go over all of the league leaders that we had, so I'm just going to go over where we actually finished first. And who better than to finish first than Yelich in home runs, slugging percentage, and OPS? I mean, just an insane season. And then just to give you an idea of how good he's been, his OPS was actually lower this season than last year, and his on-base was much lower than where it was last year. So pretty crazy to think about. Now, as for who we're going to be taking on in the division series, we're going to be playing against the Cincinnati Reds, the team we lost to earlier in the year. I showed you guys that game. However, here's the thing. I'm much more confident about our ability to beat them, especially looking at their lineups compared to left-handed pitching to right-handed pitching. They did beat the Rockies in the wild card. And now looking at our rotation, we're going to have a 4-man rotation that starts with Brandon Woodruff, then goes on to Brett Anderson, our own little Cy Young contender. Adrian Hauser and Freddie Peralta will round it out. Eric Lauer is going to be moved into the bullpen just because, once again, the Reds are very good against left-handed pitching, and so I'd rather keep him as kind of a tool we'll use later. As for the rest of the bullpen, the middle relievers are Alex Claudio, Reyes Maranta, Jake Faria, and Josh Lindblom has been moved into the middle reliever role. As for the setup guys, it's Corey Knebel, Brent Suter, and Josh Hader. I don't expect Suter and Lindblom to get that much playing time this playoffs unless we just absolutely need them to and everyone's just gassed. So that's the plan there. As for the lineup against right-handed pitching, leading off is going to be Lorenzo Cain. Batting second is going to be Avisal Garcia. Batting third, of course, is going to be Christian Yelich. Batting fourth is Keston Hiura. Fifth is Justin Smoke. Sixth, Omar Narvaez. Seventh, Jed Gayorko. Eighth, Orlando Arcia. And that's against right-handed pitching. And the thing is the Reds only have right-handed pitching, which is great for us because we are not the same team in the slightest against lefties. Now, looking at the Reds pitching rotation, they are led by Trevor Bauer, Sonny Gray, and Luis Castillo. Gray, the former Oakland Athletic, has kind of ascended back to that level he was with the A's. Luis Castillo, he did get the start in the wild card game, so that's why he's third in the rotation. And they're keeping it with a 5-man with Anthony Desclafani and Tyler Mahle. As for their bullpen, it's much weaker than I expected. Robert Stevenson's their long reliever, Raisel Iglesias. Nate Jones and Ryan Hendricks make up their middle relieving area. Their setup men are Michael Lorenzen and Matt Bowman, and their closer is Pedro Strop. So a pretty interesting group of guys. They at least have 3 really good starters that could put us away. Hopefully they don't. And then looking at their lineups against right-handed pitching, it's Shogo Akiyama, Joey Votto, Eugenio Suarez, the former Brewer Mike Moustakas, Jesse Winker, Nick Castellanos, Tucker Barnhart, Freddie Galvis make up their right-handed pitching lineup. As for their lineup against the lefties, it's going to be Akiyama, Votto, Suarez, Moustakas, and then Castellanos going to be moved up to 5th. Philip Irvin enters in, Galvis is up at 7th, and Kurt Casale will be the catcher. But that's it for this edition of the Brewers series. You're going to see in the next episode we're going to play the first game of the series against the Reds, and then we're going to play all of the elimination games, and that's going to be the format that we're going to stick to for the duration of this franchise for every single series. I apologize that I didn't go over any prospects or get really in depth into the stats for how this season went, but we kind of had a good idea of how the team was performing if you watched the series to this point. And then on top of that, I'm going to go over the prospects and all that in the off-season video after we get through the playoffs. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in the next episode. And make sure to check out all of the other episodes if this is your first one. Leave a like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you guys.